Tested. I'm like, man, Eric, I remember 2011. Remember we had a good fight in Road Shoot? I think it was you and me, and then it was like a couple hundred points behind everyone, like third, fourth, didn't matter, right? So it was pretty good fight. But I was like, man, Eric's figured something out. I went home for 6 months and I tried to figure out this grip. Like I remember Eric said, push and pull, relax the handle, and I remember being able to pull my trigger a little faster, but I just couldn't figure out my sights. My sights would go all over the place.
I actually tuned it since then. By the time I was still doing some kind of a push-pull system, and now I'm still doing the same
grip, yeah.
Same grip, and also the same torquing in some ways, that it goes forward and or backward. But pretty much, let me put this one somewhere standing.
You can put it on your cake.
No. No, because you don't know. But it's hold on. Where's the cake?
There it is. Oh.
There. So it's a soft chocolate chip inside, but white chocolate with dark chocolate cake.
Eric's one of the other reasons why I started eating a lot of pastries. I went to visit him for a month at his home, and he took me to a pastry place every morning.
Before going to the range.
Before going to the range. So go ahead. You can talk about your grip anyway.
So, yeah, I'm having that high grip thing, which is 3 fingers under the trigger guard and the index finger in front of it. Also, first reason because I got small hands, and to be high as possible onto the gun, for me it's the only way to reach that position. Just to make it quick, basically your gun works in 2 ways. Your gun works backward because of the bullet clear. Hammer down. You good?
I'm going with you. I'm doing that.
Boom.
Boom. Oh shit.
Eyes and ears, kids.
We're going hot.
So yeah. So this to be as high as possible. Your gun works one way backward. Because of the bullet going forward and the powder pushing, so it pushes back the slide. That's one thing, and then it's going forward because the slide is closing. So there's 2 things. So your gun goes diving on the second part, but it goes also backward on the first part. So holding your gun, my grip is actually. Hold on, let me get my gun so that you.
There we go. Thank you. Goodness gracious, I'm trying to follow him and see what this grip is all about with my gun.
No bullet in.
What a good man.
Alright, so basically when I hold the gun like this, I'm not shooting strong hand, but that's definitely going for freestyle. It's loose. It's really loose. There's no pressure. I'm not even squeezing, not even using my fingers. It's just in place. Nothing in there. Then the second hand goes there on top as high as possible, on top here. And what happened is I'm using my weak hand now as being a standing position like a wall. All right. So it's not moving in. So what I'm doing is I'm actually just pushing forward with my strong hand. But I'm not pushing or I'm not squeezing with my arms. You see, you're already squeezing your arms.
Yeah,
I'm not squeezing
muscles,
my arms.
Bro. It's been there. I can't do that.
You push from here. You're actually pushing from your shoulder.
Yep.
So by pushing from your shoulder, you're actually using all the upper part muscles to push in your gun without squeezing. Basically, you squeeze. If you look at what it does, if I put my hand, this is my grip, this is my weak hand, and you keep pushing, you clearly see that that's the movement that it does. It's actually closing, and your weak hand is actually putting the pressure on your strong hand, the fingers.
Yeah, there's friction here.
Exactly. To take that position and put the pressure. Now, question is how much pressure you want to go? As much as you need, or as much as you are happy with your shooting?
Try not to grip and flex, but it's like you're right. Look at this, just a little bit, and it's already all there. And this is where yours hurt all the time, right?
This is where I get the push. The push comes from here, but I'm not pushing with this guy here or this guy here. I'm really pushing with the shoulder.
in your chest.
So
Yeah.
so you can actually, instead of doing a push pull, you can either use this one as a stand and this one as a push, or this one as a stand and this one as a pull. You can go one way or the other, depend whatever you like. Both ways are actually working.
Yeah, that's one of the questions that I get asked a lot. Like, hey, you're good friends with Eric, and I'm like, man, I talked to him about that. And I remember that one. Like, you and I, you've changed the way I've shot too. Like, I've trained the way I train, and I'm one of the fortunate ones that I gotta admit. You and your dad, I think I'm one of the first ones, or the one of the very few in the world to have been allowed to practice and train with you. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I take that to heart, man. I'm super blessed with that, and you've obviously helped. You've been a big influence in my shooting, both being a competitor and a friend, and all that stuff, right? But you and I were out in the range one time, and I remember you told me, you were like, yeah, we got an hour. And I'm like, okay, well, what are we doing? He's like, yeah, we're gonna shoot about 1,500 rounds in this hour. I'm like, together or each? He's like, no, each. I'm like, okay, how do we do this? He goes, load your mags up. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. And I remember, I'm like, 15, that's 3,000 rounds we're going to shoot in 1 hour. I'm like, what are we doing? So, anyway, the practice went and went, and my mind was blown. I'm going, I don't know what just happened. We shot a lot. I made some mistakes, and you kept telling me to correct them. Don't make them. You didn't really teach me. You were just like, hey, don't make those mistakes. It's too late in the game to make those mistakes. No, I don't want to go into details too much. But I remember you were like, this part of my hand hurts. You can see it. I remember you showing me, and your back, the back of your palm was extremely red. It was like almost raw, right? And I remember when I was shooting, mine was this callus right here because it's a torque, and it was here. It was a different pressure. And that's when I started thinking, I'm like, man, he grips it completely different, right? And people always say, no, he grips it the same. He grips it hard. He pushes and pulls. And I'm like, no, I was there. I've seen him up close and spent a week with you shooting at least 1,000 rounds each day or something. At least 1,000 rounds each day. Sometimes twice a day. And it was that area that made me realize that I'm like, hey, he's changed. His grip's different. I've tried it. It doesn't work for me as much, but I have made slight differences and slight changes to my grip where it allowed, and it's kind of like what from yours, like just paying attention to where the pressure is. I do a little bit more of a push with my backhand now as well. And what I realized was when I'm shooting iron sights, I can really see the tracking of my sights is a lot better and more controllable and consistent than any other shooting grip that I've had. I'm more of a Bob Vogel grip style. Yours, I just kind of start adding little pieces here and there. And
It's typically American style. Let's say when I mean most of the guy back there are like squeeze as hard as you can your gun, which is the most probably efficient, quick way to get people having a decent grip. But at the end, I'm not that sure it's to me that is working on the overall goal, especially when you train higher volume amount of ammunition, when you train higher volume at the range, which means that I don't know if you had like tennis elbows issues and stuff like that.
I did, not anymore. I'm lucky.
But most of the guy having those types of grips, they end up with these issues. You know how many rounds I shoot per year, and I'm probably over several million now. I have nothing. My arms are like
fresh.
Never had any issue, and I never have pain. So I mean, I can still shoot. I can go to the range, shoot 2,000 rounds. Yeah, I'm tired, fine, but I don't have any pain, nothing. So I believe also that like that squeezing things, it's one of the issues that most of the people get, like that pain here at the end of the day when they shoot.
Yeah, because it's this and it's constant muscle getting forced to basically open, right? And you have this tension in your muscles, tense like this, and the gun doesn't care. It's gonna move it no matter what. So how hard you're holding it, it's still gonna grind it, and eventually you're either gonna pull your cartilage or your muscle's gonna outgrow and strain your cartilage and all that. And that's what happened to mine. I ended up tearing a cartilage actually, and it swelled up pretty bad. So I have to do a lot of rehab and preventive measurements in order for me to sustain a grip like this. Because like I said, my training session used to be 3-4 hours, 400 rounds maybe, right? And then speaking with you and being able to spend some time with you, you were like, that's stupid. You were like, 3 hours. He goes, you're not tired yet? He goes, you should be there within an hour 500 to 1,000 rounds, 500 to 1,000 rounds, and go in and get out, right? So it's like what is he doing? What's the purpose here? And then it's kind of mass volume, like you said. You can't shoot good. You gotta shoot a lot in order for you to actually become a good shooter.
You need to get the volume, so that's fairly that. It's about 500 an hour or 1,000 in an hour and a half, an hour 40 minutes. That's it. But shouldn't take longer than that, because otherwise you're spending so much time there, you're not necessarily working. At some point you end up like playing or
Correct.
And that's not what you're targeting.
Correct. I was fortunate. I had my dad with me, like you know earlier. My dad was always there to keep me in line. I never got to stray. So training was training. But now that I'm on my own a lot, my dad's in the East Coast. I'm in the West Coast. When I train longer than, I would say an hour and a half, there's times where it's just like, oh yeah, let's just do this. And now I'm finding myself 100 rounds into it. I'm like, oh, I'm just messing around for 100 rounds. Like I gotta get out of here. That's when I'm like, oh, I'm done.
It's a waste of time. At the end,
Yo, you disappeared for a second. Say something.
Yeah.
Okay, good. No, we're good. We're good.
Going down.
Oh, the battery. Okay.
I didn't charge it. Yeah, the point is that you're wasting time. So that's not what you want either. You're here to be efficient. You're here to burn yourself. And also, what I like is when the training intent, not short or not long, but you need to block your mind so your brain knows what you're doing, consistently change the exercises, stages and stuff. You know me, you've been with me. I don't like to repeat. I never repeat things. Just for the simple reason, I fuck up, same thing in the match. You fuck up, or in the worlds, you have no it's done.
So I love that. That's one of the biggest things that I changed about my shooting was I used to have a drill and standards and basics and whatever, and it's like I got to do this, and all right, let me do it again. Obviously, by the 10th time, you're always going to get better than the first time, right? And there's progress there, but the progress wasn't as much as when I changed the way I trained when I saw and was exposed to the way you train, and then Rob Latham also showed me a long time ago the way he trained. It was very similar to yours. Like, don't shoot the same thing twice or more than once. And it made me realize that I think a certain level in your game, when you have a lot of understanding, shooting the same thing over and over and over will hinder your progress as much as you would discover when you're trying and constantly testing yourself and making those adjustments on the fly and seeing if you can make the adjustments, the corrections immediately right on your next execution, basically.
Great. That's because of that. You can clearly see you've been doing a steel challenge. You've done that several times. Your training was based on repetition. So there, you was
memory
pretty quick, and that put you on the standard. For me, I shot it once. I did pretty good, but I quit because I don't have repetition skills. For me, it's a first run is my good run, and damn, I have to make exactly the same. And it's like,
hey, stand by. Do you have that headset, or is it really that? Because it was still working. It's just you're coming in and out right now for some reason.
Really? Hold on, I'll put my
that headset was really clear. Sorry guys, we got a little brief intermission here for a second, but this is really good stuff. Obviously, Eric is a multi-world champion shooter, so information from him and mindset. Actually, I didn't even meant to take this to mindset talk, but it's leading to that obviously, and it's cool to hear his take on it. Mic check.
Hold on.
You good? That sounds good. He's going on Bluetooth right now to try to link his AirPods. So yeah, obviously, just getting information from him. Obviously, I'm sure you guys are getting. So if you have any questions, I'm going to ask him another question here. The last question I want to ask him would be this visualization.
Good. I'm back here.
Hell yeah, perfect. That's much better. So yeah, talk about skill challenge and all that stuff.
So yeah, I was. So I did it once. We did some training with you, and actually Casey was with us, if you remember.
Yeah.
I was there. Like, I think you brought me into this. Said, hey, let's go, let's do this thing, and I had like 3 days. So you guys were trying to teach me the sequencing, and was like, what the hell, repeating and this thing. And after a day, I would get like bored. I mean, damn, we do it again. Yeah, we do it again. Damn, let's do it one more time. And it's like, I can't do this thing. And when those guys, Casey and JJ, were training just the same sequence over and over, I was like, guys, let me shoot with you the same thing, but different orders. Yeah, but you're not going to win. I said, there's no chance I can win anyway. So let me have fun and play with that and go like bing, 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 whatsoever, and make me happy, because I can't do that for hours, this and over. That's not like now. I'm not ready for that. So, yeah.
I remember that. I remember you were like, I'm just going to shoot it in different order.
So for IPSC, I believe repetition doesn't work as for Steel Challenge. It's clearly, yes, you need to. So it's a different type of training. What you have to do you have to be prepared for it. You can't prepare within 2 or 3 days.
No.
But in the same strategy, I believe, and that's the same also for the shooters. Let's say if you're able to train or shoot randomly any sequence, then you can perform pretty well any standard sequence that will repeat over and over. Maybe probably not win, but you can do pretty good. The same thing applies in the divisions in IPSC or USPSA. If you look at the history of open standard production, no matter what you do, open shooters which move to iron sights always perform definitely very good, or even winning the iron sights division, when the opposite is actually not really true.
Correct.
We never seen a guy that comes from production or from standard being able to win directly in open division.
Correct.
When the opposite is possible, that an open guy that goes straight to standard or production will perform.
Correct, 100%. I agree with you on that one. I feel like there's a lot of guys that shoot open. I think it's processing speed, the ability to be able to do things faster, and limit it in iron sights or anything else. You just kind of go, I just got to respect the 3 sights. That's it.
I think it's also that I think the open shooters have a better ability to adjust their speed. Not necessarily reach that top speed, but the ability to adjust when. Correct. Usually we shoot one speed, one pace in those iron sights division, and if we have an option for us, we get there and like, turn on the gas. Let's do, and that's it. And this is where we get the scoring in.
Correct. And that was what Bob Vogel said to me last year in limited. He's like, it's pretty cool to see what you would do in open, do it in limited. He goes, I tried to do it, try to keep up with it on a couple of stages. He goes, just wasn't my style. And I kind of remember thinking, I wasn't pushing yet. I just felt like pushing because I wanted to extend my lead, and I knew if I could give up a few points, but shave like 4 seconds in a stage, I knew it was gonna. It catered to my style, so I'm like, I'm gonna push it. And he kind of felt defeated after that one stage, and I knew that I was like, I just gotta shoot cruise or whatever, shoot clean the rest of the day. Bob was kind of one of those that he was like, maybe I just can't keep up at this point right now in the game. Obviously he's going to go home and train that, but it's just something that I think an open shooter has the ability to throttle up and down more in terms of speed than the limited. Limited, I think you're more of or iron sights in general, right? You find yourself more on a consistent pattern in terms of speed and all that stuff.
And exactly when sometime you may have the opportunity to actually bring up the open style shooting in those divisions. And if you don't have that, if you've never got the understanding of it, then you can't make it. It's just not realistic.
100%. And I think Shane Coley is actually here on this. It's funny because Shane was there last year, and I said, hey, he sent me his videos because he shot the morning sessions, the same group, same stages, morning sessions in open. Because that was the first time he shot open. He was an open shooter before, but he went to limited production for a long time, right? And the first time he shot open was last year, and he went and he was sending me his videos on his first couple of stages, and I'm like, hey, dude, you're shooting this static. I was like, you should be shooting down on a move. This, you should be merging this position. You should be pushing on this target. Like, then you're shooting this you're shooting at iron sights. And he's like, I'm a limited shooter, and he didn't understand what I was telling him. And he's like, I think I shot it good though. And then he was like 19, and we shot it, the super squad. We were 16 seconds
Yeah.
Right? The fastest time was like 15, but our average was 16. He's like, what am I doing wrong? I'm like, all those little things. You're shooting it like it's your limited shooter, and no longer as if this stage is meant for an open shooter. He's like, I did so good on this stage. I'm like, well, that stage is more kind of for both, right? I was like, you're not moving much. There's not much tighter targets. But this stage is wide open. Why did you stand still and all that stuff? So anyway, it's kind of one of those things that it was hard for him to grasp. And he came here and spent a week here, and I showed him a little bit like, hey, you need to be able to push a little bit because he was trying to get ready for the Filipinos in the Philippines. A bunch of our Filipino guys like Khalil is on here watching right now, and
I can see.
those guys are killers.
Yep,
I would
yep.
love I would love it for you, me, Bob to go against Bro, Khalil, who's the other guy? Bernabe, right?
Mhm.
Joseph, and there was another guy. There was because they're fast.
What, in standard?
Yeah.
We're screwed.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they shoot it like open, but they've only shot. Well, they shot airsoft, I guess. But I don't. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Well, unless you put, as we say in French, you put a carrot at the end.
Yes.
So a trophy which is
Done. Yeah.
worth the work, and in which you have an understanding that you can win it or you can lose it. But
Yes.
if there is nothing involved, I don't think we're too old already.
Because what? They're 15 years old.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's
Yeah,
very
15 to 18. Yeah, for some of them.
Yeah. And there's a single stack classic shooter, Edric. Like, there's a bunch of good shooters in the Philippines. I can't wait. But anyway, one of the other questions I had here was in regards to there are two questions, I guess, and I think we're gonna have to end this in about 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna ask the first question: what's your visualization look like? A lot of guys, that was like 30 questions I got. Just, hey, what's Eric visualizing leading to a match, and then what's his visualization look like right before he shoots the stage? Kick JJ's ass.
No, but of course the main it's a hard answer. It's not easy answer because you can't answer that simply. In the sense that the visualization of it's not just one thing. You have to see, okay, but the potential goal, can I make it or not make it? Who's competing? What are the threats? The threat in the sense that your competitors, that's okay, JJ coming, I don't know, Khalil coming, or whoever, Shane Coley coming. So those guys have different specs. This guy is more on the movement style shooter. He's more on the static but very aggressive. This one is moving all the time, so we're gonna have to run after the time. But also potentially being more like this is more on the up and down strategy. So when you have a JJ which is coming consistent all the way through, so we have to wait for a little bump to maybe do something. So you can't start, let's say, a competition without having the visualization of like, I'm gonna win. There's no chance. You start on the starting line, and on the first line, everybody's on the same level, and then after day one, you have those plus minus, so you can readjust your whatever you're targeting. But during that first day, it's for me, main goal, I would say, is to try to win my day. So I actually turn on my wall shoot, for example, just to make it simple. It's a 5-day match. So I don't care who I win against, who is ever first or second or third, but my goal is to win my day, so my 6 stages, not win the 6 stages themselves, but the sum up from those 6 stages, the overall 6 stages, I'm in the lead by plus 0.1, and I'm happy with that.
And every day you do this. This is what you told me before.
But the thing is, that day could be you are second place or somebody else in the second place. So it's switch. I don't care. But if you do those, that's the little thing that every day you manage to win.
Cumulative. Yep.
Then necessarily you win. No, but you don't know necessarily who is ever second, but you know that you've done it. Now you have also the other cases. World Shoot 2017 for myself. Being back home, being in France, most of people, I would say, yeah, it's easier to be shooting the World Shoot in your home because potentially you know the stages and everything. It's the most awful thing that you can ever do.
I
It's
think
the
so
worst.
too.
It's horrible because
The
you have the
pressure,
pressure of the people, all
the
the people that
organization.
the organization, but all the people that you know, all the shooters that are coming here for helping those patchers and everything. That all those guys you know that you see every year, all throughout the year during this, they are here. It's like they come to see you. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Oh, you're gonna win. You're gonna work it.
You gotta put that in your hands.
It's let me alone. Let me alone, please. Let me. I need a week. So that's hard. And that first day at the World put me like 25 points. I think it was 25 or something behind Bob,
But
because I mean, floated by not by the pressure of myself, not by the pressure of the top shooters, but just by the pressure of the people, because you want the people who are believing in you, or like who are here watching you, they expect you to perform, and like you're trying things and it doesn't work. It's like, wow, damn it, what the hell I was doing. So day one I was minus 20, 25, something like this, and it didn't work out very well. But I was like, what the stupidness. I had like 2 mics that day.
I remember every day we spent, every night we spent there together. Like I remember you talking
like,
to me.
what the hell I was doing. Day two, I won my day. I was not in the lead, but I won my day. I was minus 6 or minus 7 on Bob. But I did the job. Back to my routine. Okay, my job is to win my day. That's it. Nothing else. No matter how much you win, you work it out through. So day 3 did the same thing. I ended up +2, +1, +2 over Bob. So I took the lead, but but I won my 3rd day, and I did again the same thing on my 4th day, and I won my fourth day, and I was in the lead by 14, 15 points. So keep on rolling this way. So it's not a huge thing, but it works pretty good.
No, I like it. So here's one thing, right? And I know you and I talked about this already, but I'm gonna share it in the public. In 2019, last year, I lost the Open Nationals, right? And it was one of those things that it wasn't really the competition. It was more of the mindset. My mindset on that one was I must have gotten at least 1,000 messages. This is yours. We can't wait to see you. You've been dominant. You've been struggling a little bit here and there, but you've been crushing it lately. And I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, I should get it. I feel good. I had some issues, underlying issues in the background, family, kids, friends, and stuff like that. Whatever. But that was not. We're professionals. We go in there. We compete. We can clear our minds, right? And it was that pressure of having to repeat it as a win. And the difference between you and I is you've been in that situation for so many times, and then you've trusted that you trust yourself. Me, it was one of those that after the first day, I think I ended up with like 2 mics and like a no shoot, and I was down by like 14 points, and I'm like, oh. Instead of going, you're a dumbass, you can shoot better than that. If you didn't shoot for 2 mics and a no shoot, and you just shot clean, you'd be way in the lead. Instead, I went, oh, I'm only 14 points behind and I have 2 mics and a miss. I'll just continue this on because if I nail this and connect, I'll be 30 points up in one day.
And the chances that you nail it, that's small.
Very small, right? So here's what I did. I was like, you know what? I did the first half the same exact way. I had another miss or 2 misses. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this now. I'm down 30, and then I cleaned it up on the second. I think that second half of the second day. I said, Dad, I'm not gonna have a pickup shot. I'm just gonna try to shoot clean. But by then, my mindset was so hard to bring back and tailor back a little bit that I was in attack mode the whole time. I was able to come back, and I think after the first day, I was 3rd by 25 points to Casey, and then I think after the second day, I was like 8 points or 4 points away from Christian. And I'm like, oh, and then again, it was that mindset again. It was the weirdest thing in the world to find myself that, and I usually don't. And you were yelling at me in the Philippines. You're like, you're stupid. You shot that incorrectly. Your mindset was wrong. I said again, I was like, oh, I'm only 4 points, 8 points down. I'm going to throttle down on this. And then I think the first stage on the last day, I found out that my gun was shooting keyholes on target. And I had like 4 deltas in the first stage. And I was shooting good too. I was aiming good. Something happened. I don't know what happened, whether the bullet, the cop, something happened on that day. I think I grabbed the wrong case. I zeroed it, and it was keyholing on the zero, so I had to switch guns and bullets, I think, for the last 4 stages. But that got in my head, and I'm like, F it, I'm just going to go in attack mode because I'm 27 points down. screw it, let's see how much we can get back, right? And so the difference was you learned the first day, and credit to Max. I spoke to Max also. Max had the same struggle on his first day at nationals because people were rooting for him because Nils was the first time shooting carry optics, and he made a mistake and he took a step back and he was like, hey, listen, man, I can do so much better than this. I trust myself. I'm just gonna go back to the plan. I was not in the plan at all. I was full bore, gas to the pedal to the metal. I'm gonna beat everyone here. I'm gonna try to prove a point, and then it didn't. I ended up embarrassing myself. Luckily I placed second still, considering, right, and whatever it is, and it was a hard lesson to learn, and it's kind of one of those things that I was like, all right, I have to reprogram quickly because limited's coming around the corner, offshore Asia's coming around the corner, and good thing I had a good end of my year. But like you said, that's a big difference between you and I. Your experience, your ability to be able to control your mind, is because you've been doing it for so damn long, and you've trained that part of it so good.
Well, I train the fact that because of the training, as I said, with no repetition system or random system of exercising what I'm doing in the training, means I have to read that myself and I have to perform for every single run I do in the training. Not like telling myself, okay, I did a bad run, let's do it again, and throw this the other one to garbage. No, it's done. So I have to, and that's what happened is that you're reproducing what you've done in the training back in the competition, which is not going to happen in IPSEC. It might work once again for a repetition style competition like Steel Challenge, but not for IPSEC. There's no chance that you can survive that.
That's seriously one of the biggest things I learned from you, was not shoot the same thing, and you have to perform every single run, whether it's different, whether it's the same array, but shoot it in different order. You have to perform the same exact way consistently every time, and it helped me a ton. Last question before we go. I think we got like 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Last question. How often do you find yourself in practice measuring time?
Good question. I never.
I knew the answer, obviously, because I practiced with you. But you know how many people tell me, can you give me a drill, a standard that I can go for every day? And I'm like, I don't have much time. So do I. I don't have much time. I have like an hour at the range. I don't really spend all that time. I don't want to measure. I don't want to repeat over and over. What for? What are you doing?
That's the exact same thing we just talked about. It's repetition. So when the same thing when the people are asking me, I posted a couple of dry fires the other day, and I'm actually going to post later today a short video about movements, what I was doing in my shop in the warehouse, and you can't measure anything because nothing is consistently happening in IPSEC or USPSA. So what are the chances that your target is presented facing to you at 10 yards with that sun, with that light, with that background, with that whatever? So,
exactly.
So yes, you can do a sub-1 draw, and so what? Good, fantastic, good for you. But what about your draw at 25 yards or 50 yards or 2 yards?
Or not even, how about this? 10 yards to the left a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a little bit.
Or with a no-shoot board.
With a no-shoot in front, yeah.
Or half target, partial target, or hard.
Crazy.
No, exactly. Same thing with the Mac change. We all do. We like to do it. It's fun. For me, it's fun to do actually those Mac changes stuff, standing still. But let's be honest, it's useless.
Yeah,
because if you do it in competition, a static reload, you're screwed. It's period. It's the end of your game. You just throw a 1.5 second or 2 second that goes away, and depending on the hit factor, it's like a value of a miss, or it could be 10 points, 15 points, 20 points maybe. So it's good practice, yes, why not? But measuring it, measuring it, do it in 1.2, fine. 1.1, fine. Sub 1, fantastic, good for you. But
I get about 50 questions, 50 to about 100, depending on the week, of like, can you send me drills I can do over and over? I'm like, no, I just can't. Like, here, throw 4 targets randomly every day and just shoot at it and make sure you shoot it good. That's what I say every single time. But here's a funny thing. I did some challenges recently, like 2.5 seconds. I didn't know what the drills were. I just made them up, like 2.5 seconds, whatever you can do. And I did. People do it all the time because obviously they love to start and stop, right? But other than that, my practice session is none like that at all. It is just all about shooting overloading your mindset. So before you go, we have 25 seconds. Anything you want to say and add before we have to be cut off? This is your time.
Nothing to say, guys. As soon as you can get to the range, go to the range and burn bullets. Don't screw around. Don't build stages. Don't do anything. Shoot, because that's what's matter at the end. Shoot, and know how to shoot. Know how to place your sights on the target, and make sure you shoot an alpha. That's what's matter at the end.
Continue, Stu.
Quiero esa explicación.